Welcome, friends and family. Super excited to be here with you today at our Elevate studio, where I just want to remind everybody that Elevate is a faith led coaching and mentorship program with an emphasis on leadership. We believe what today needs more than anything is leadership. I mean, when you look around the world today, you do see that there is a real kind of like a key missing part and a real need for leadership. And so we're real grateful. God continues to send us great people to our Elevate community to work with. And today I have the privilege of being here with my amazing wife, Lindsay, who she and I have been working together now, married for 18 years and working together now probably really 19 years. And we were engaged for one full year prior to marriage. And Lindsay just came in and helped me with my vision and help serve this community at such a high level. And I'll never forget when you and I decided we were going to work together. It was just shortly after we had got engaged. And I had read the book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye by Josh McDowell. So if any of you young folks out there thinking about marriage, I would recommend that book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye by Josh McDowell. And he said the whole purpose for being in a relationship was for marriage and to find out if a marriage would work or not. And so one of the main things that I wanted to know right off the bat was, could we work together? Because I had a vision to create a real estate community to help people in selling and buying real estate. Now, my vision at that time, now guys, we're going back 18 years ago, wasn't near as strong as it is today. Go back 18 years ago, I was probably fortunate if I closed 20 deals a year. And that might have been pushing it. So not the same guy sitting in this seat today. Didn't have this lady beside me. For Lindsay, she did have a vision, a strong vision, a vision that brought her 3,000 miles over that little mud puddle from Britain to the United States. And her goal was to help people that were hurting and to be a chiropractor. And so I'll never forget, we sat down that day at Hibachi and had dinner, and I just explained to Lindsay that my vision was to do this, and Lindsay explained to me her vision was to do that. And I think we came to an impasse where it was like, okay, well, that's fine. We're still in the courtship cycle. So this is where we need to figure this stuff out at. And I'll never forget, I did not realize how serious your vision was, like how much it meant to you, like your life had been centered around helping people. And we walked out of that restaurant in a little bit of disagreement. We weren't on the same page, but you broke at that point. You shed a few tears.
It was a week. I think you went to India on a mission trip, and I just prayed. I was like, I'm going to let everybody down. This is not what I expected. This is not where I'm going. But Lord, help me see the bigger vision.
Yeah, help me help him.
Yeah.
So there it was. The gauntlet had been put down. Lindsay and I were engaged, but we weren't yet committed to marriage. And this is the time when you figure out, can we work together? Can our visions? Can we have this? Can we walk as one together? And so it was a defining moment. I did not realize how serious she was about accomplishing her goals. So that day, we walked away with an agreement that she wasn't going to go in debt to become a chiropractor, and she was going to help me with real estate. So whatever Lindsay put her mind to was going to be great. But I'll never forget, and you may or may not remember this, but you said, I feel like the reason why I was a chiropractor is because I wanted to help people who felt stress or was hurting. I wanted to help them feel better.
Yeah, I want to give solutions and help them get their own solutions instead of being put on medication or just suppressing something.
And then you said, buying a home is one of the biggest stresses people will ever go through. They're about to put down, at that time, probably $200,000. Today would be $400,000.
Right.
But they're about to spend, $200,000-$300,000 on a home. And I want to help take the stress out of that for them. Because we had been now around real estate long enough to know that it was kind of for lack of a better word, a bit of a clown show. There wasn't a great leadership in real estate. There was a lot of...
You just get your license and it's like, how about it?
Yeah, just go do it. And then you're like, do what? And so it was kind of the
You
Wild West.
learn.
And I still think it's still 20 years later, a lot of it's still the Wild
Yes,
West.
yes.
Average real estate agent closed 2 deals in a full year. So they're not
It's
used to seeing
amazing.
contracts. They're not used to working with people. They're not used to negotiating.
And realtors are not used to doing it full time because that is they don't have a plan or a
Mm-hmm.
system.
So Lindsay at that time realized that her vision to help people who
Mm-hmm.
were hurting and stressed,
Mm-hmm.
who probably, quick story, when I first met you in that
Yeah.
first 10 days when you had your visa to be in America,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked out regular, routinely. I really enjoyed working out. But probably 3 or 4 months before meeting Lindsay, I had quit working out
Mm.
because my shoulder was jacked up. I just literally could not lift weight with it no more.
Right, right.
And I remember telling Lindsay, that, and she's like, okay. At that time, you were at Miss Jane's,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, come on over to Miss Jane's. I'll take a look at it. And so Lindsay was a massage therapist, which in my mind, massage therapy and massage therapist was kind of like, that's for sissies. That's for people that aren't strong. That was my mindset. So Lindsay was very strong. She's like, okay, lay down. And so I laid down. She said, now turn your shoulder this way. And I turned it this way. And she worked on it for about 10 minutes. And the next day, she said, now come see me again tomorrow. The next day I come, lay down. And the same thing. And like 10 minutes of working on it. And she's like, okay, go work out again. I said, Lindsay, and again, I've only known her for like 3 or 4 days. I said, Lindsay, I don't think you realize how bad my shoulder's hurting. I don't think I can work out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, you're fine.
Mm.
Go work out. Don't go too hard. Just go easy. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I went that day back into the gym and my shoulder was better than it had ever been. And I was able to work out again. It was like a miracle. So that's what Lindsay wanted to do she wanted what she did for me, helping me get something that I never thought I could have, which is the ability to get back in a gym. And I'm going to tell you, buying a house is super important. Your health is probably even a little more important.
Yes.
So she wanted to help people have good health and be able to live and have freedom of life. Getting a home is one of the most stressful things. And Lindsay's like, I want to figure out how to take the stress out. So the whole buying process or the selling process can be.
Add the clarity to the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Take the stress out so you can enjoy that process. But there's a plan and preparation of a process being led for you. So stepping stones, step 1, step 2, all the way to, from pre and post. Because we want it to be a great experience, not just for you, your children, your grandchildren. It's a legacy.
Yes. So I know we're going through this book, Unreasonable Hospitality.
It's an amazing book.
And
amazing book.
One thing that as a leader now of a growing company, like you oversee the whole company now. We have a CFO, we have an operations, we have sales, we have, we really got the whole gamut now.
Yeah.
Probably 15 people full time. And 2 years ago, we did not own a company or have these payments that you now have. And so a lot of different stress on you at this time, right?
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of moving parts.
Yes. I think, and you haven't asked me the question, but it could be stressful if I didn't know my purpose. And it could be stressful if I didn't have a plan and I wasn't working the plan and I didn't have team members to help me up and me being transparent enough to ask for help. So I don't feel it stressful. I enjoy it. I get sad or upset if people don't meet their goals, but we just look at that. What is it that we need to change? What is it we need to enhance? What can we help each other on?
So good. So again, it's like when you and I first started working together, you could see you accomplishing your vision in real estate sales.
Yeah.
Which was helping people.
Yeah.
Taking stress out of it.
It was hospitality. It was customer service. Everywhere we go, we're serving. And so I feel like when God just puts that in you of a big purpose, and a lot of times we don't know what our purpose is. A lot of time we don't really self-evaluate. Have we done those spiritual tests? What is our strength? Is it administration? Is it evangelist? I love those assessments because I want to know who I am. You know, before God can use you, He's got to work things in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that from a book
Mm-hmm.
that a friend gave me, Experiencing God, and she had, had read that too. So before God can use you, He's got to work things in and out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might not know what your purpose is, but it's right there in the Bible, exactly what your purpose is. And so I think we get so westernized of focusing on a title, a label, the accolades, going up a ladder of success to realize, and I forget who it was that said, your ladder could be leaned against the wrong building. And, I did all the accolades. I went to college, university, got everything. To realize that I felt like that was my success, was getting those things. We hear about a lot of millionaires that are completely empty, that they got all that they needed to get, but so unfulfilled. Whereas I see so many people that are in ministry, and again, don't have a ministry in the church, it could be ministry in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
This is our core focus. We're using real estate as a platform to encourage, influence, and inspire each other as teammates, leaving a legacy as a community, not just a team, but community of people who genuinely care and deliver great results.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have one without the other, and this is what ties into that chapter 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
When you look at, that's so well said. When you look at your purpose, then was to help
help
take the
people.
chaos and take the stress out of a seller or a buyer obtaining their goal. Right
Right.
now, today, 18 years later, you still have the same purpose. You'd want to take the stress out of it, right? But now you're trying to you're looking now to take the stress off the agents,
Yeah, I mean,
the operations team,
Yep.
the CFO.
Exactly.
You're the leader. You're leading a amazing community right now, a growing community. New people coming on. Even just today, we onboarded a new guy. Last week, we onboarded at least 2 new people. So it's growing, and you're in the midst of all that growth. And now it's like you put some systems in play that makes that run. So your legacy's there. Now you're got a greater purpose of like, okay, now how can I help this whole thing run smooth and help the agents attain their goals.
Yeah.
And one of your questions might be like, how do we know if this is going to work for them or not? Because when you got new people coming in,
sure,
it isn't always. There's got to be a lot that works. Like we've learned in 18 years of working together, this Elevate community.
We've all got to go the same place, right? We got to make sure that our values align with theirs, purpose. We don't want to get in the same van and then all of a sudden realize there's 2 drivers and one wants to go this way and one wants to go another. And how do you know that in the job that you're in? Do you know their core values? Do you know your own core values? A lot of it's self-evaluation. Do you know their mission? Their vision? Does that align with yours? And if you and I challenge you, if you don't, really take some time to find out what mission, vision, core values are, because we all have that core in us that we don't realize what it is. We might not have put a name to it, but we haven't taken time to do that because it was your vision that I carried out. And I was like, I'm not sure if that, I don't want to be put in a box, but I don't know if I could fit into that. But really, it was so freeing to realize that I just wanted to help people. Could I do that in anything? Yes, you can. But if I started looking at the numbers and the money, I think that's where I would be capping myself, because it really was faith. It was my obedience to God. My obedience to God is better than a sacrifice. And so being obedient to your vision of having that bigger platform, of being taught and learning so much off John Maxwell.
Yeah, leadership.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is leadership? And so, your scripture, 2 Timothy 2:2, producing reproduces. Yes. I don't want it to rise and fall on me. I don't want it to rise and fall on Elijah, not one person. Our goal is to disciple. It won't end with Elijah and I. It will keep on going on to our children's children. And so it's an extension of a family, but not all families get on, right? So,
but why is that? Generally, that is when they are not aligning in the core.
Right.
So again, I like what you said. If you got a vehicle, horse pulling this way, horse pulling that way, there's division.
There is.
And we see that a lot in the Old Testament. Moses was a phenomenal leader, but often these people came along and they thought maybe they were supposed to lead. Even his own people, Aaron, and his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and God had to deal with that at times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there will be issues, but at the end of the day, when you're in alignment on the core values, and then
Mm-hmm.
here's another thing I think people ask,
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay, when they're trying to say, can I fit in with this community, or
Mm-hmm.
if I'm thinking about a church or thinking about a career or
Sure.
anything, I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the questions they're saying is, can I obtain my goals, my personal goals? Like when you
Right.
and I first met, the longer I've been around you, 18 years, and this will take a little bit of humility to say, but I honestly thought, you probably wanted all these big things, like, a lot of big things, nice things. And the more I get to know you, really, you wanted a simple life. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't, you like a few dogs, a horse, some chickens, kids being fed and taken care of, a home, a
Mm-hmm.
roof. It doesn't have to be a super big roof, just a roof.
Right. Just basics.
But
Mm-hmm.
so you will have a simpleness about you, like you value simplicity. A lot of people value complexity. You value making it simple,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a blessing for when people come into your community here, or our community, is that you're trying to boil it down to the simplest form and make it as like, you don't want things to be done that don't need to be done, but we don't want to missteps when it can add
Right.
value. But I think that's what you're probably asking
Mm-hmm.
whenever you start a new job, go to a new career, start a new church, go to a new school. You know, will I be able to obtain my goals? If my
Mm-hmm.
goal was to be a full time lender, well then the school I went to, I'd want to make sure that they have a track record for success in helping people get there. And if the reason I wanted to be a full time lender is because at the end of the day, I want to be able to take my children on vacations.
Yes.
I want to be able to
Yes.
pay down debt. I want to be able to have a vehicle paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Then would this school help me get there? And I
Mm-hmm.
think those are the questions that you've really got to be upfront in asking. You can't
Yep.
be scared to ask those questions. And you need to be realistic. But like you say, a lot of people, they just kind of like, we were talking with Coach Burt the other day,
Mm-hmm.
a while back. Casey and I was out visiting with Coach Burt, and he said, the reason why most people become teachers, police, anything is because they go to college and they say, I think you'd make a good teacher, or I think you'd be good at this. And so that without any thought, they just get on the track and end up here over there. They don't think for themselves. They just,
Right.
this is what
Right.
they said I'd be good at. And so what
Which is
happens
a
is,
good step because obviously someone is valued enough to make that statement. That
yeah,
it's a good step.
and maybe they do value you enough, or maybe that's just part of their job is to bring you in and just kind of quickly pat you and move you on.
Possible
But
too.
at the end of the day, you need to search out that. You need to really, that's one thing Lindsay and I will do with our children.
Mm-hmm.
We will get them to think for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll ask them questions
We've
until
got
they're.
a great school that does that too.
Yes. And so, but we see the value of that. So I think the question is, how can people know if this is the right fit, if the Elevate community or the school they're attending or the church they're going to, how do you know if it's the right fit? Well, first off,
Yeah. I like what you just said though. Did they ask about you? Zig Ziglar says,
you help enough people get what they want, one day you'll get what you want.
yes. And so one thing that we did today was if you're in an environment where you're just checking everything off the list, you're getting it done and you're doing it for there. We heard it from another team member. They were helping that company get their goals. And again, this chapter talks about corporate smarts versus restaurant smarts. I think there's both. It's you got to have quality and you got to have quantity. You got to know that people generally care, and also you got to have results. I think it's lopsided if you don't have one without the other.
Yes.
But I could never work for a company that I'm obtaining their goals that don't align with mine, and also I know if they care? Why am I going to be in a workplace if I don't feel like they care for me? Because I think there's a connection there what we need, and we need brotherhood, we need sisterhood. And so I saw my brother have an amazing, successful business. He was very corporate led, but so personable too. Same with my sister's business, both back in England, and my brother-in-law. So personable, but also they have a system. So, if we can create a Tesla of a system and just put our emphasis on people, then to me, that's a win-win.
Yes, absolutely. That's what people want. And So great conversation with you here today. I love, I can always learn. You married 18 years. You have so many gifts and talents that I'm just totally oblivious to, but I can still learn, ask questions, and really, truly respect the work you do and how well you do value people, how well you do take care of people, and how good you are at putting those systems in play so that when you're not here, you ain't got to worry are things being done
Right,
correctly.
right, right.
Although I do know you have a desire to be here because you care and you want to make
Want to
sure
help
you're here to
people.
serve and
Hmm.
help. But at the end of the day, you also know that one person can't run the whole show.
No, you can't have a silo. You got to have bridges.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a stage of knowing, and I think that's just the Holy Spirit that we've got to know when that person can step up, and we got to know when that person needs more guidance. And
Mm-hmm.
we're still a young company, Elevate. And so, yes, I don't want it to be about me. I want to, if I'm not here, the system and process is running, people are being taken care of.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest goal is that, what makes it doesn't make sense all the people that are coming on board to what we have is such a blessing. But again, it's where we put our focus. We put our focus on the Lord and pleasing Him. And this is just a byproduct. And our goal and our vision is huge. And
Yes.
you're the one that created this vision. And I get blessed to help work with you as that helpmate of being beside you and working this thing out. And it shouldn't be just a small thing. We're just only a vapor. We're only here for a short space of time. And so to be present and to really show up and be with people is a dying thing because we're constantly thinking, what's on my agenda? I've got to get so much things done. But if you're fulfilling God's purpose, then God will give you that time.
Mm-hmm.
The 95.5 talked about it today too. It's just having margin, not just for error, for grace, but also time for yourself. On the when you're on the plane and they say, if there's going to be something that happens, the oxygen don't give to your child, it gives to you first. We can't help people if we can't help ourselves. What does that look like? We just need to make sure that we're having those margins to be able to take time for ourselves and to love on people and not lose sight and track of that.
Well, Lindsay, I could go on all day with
Thank
you.
you.
This is an amazing conversation, and I think it's going to add a lot of value to anybody listening out there. We greatly appreciate your participation. If this adds any value to you, please like and share, and we pray you have an amazing week. Thank you.